Down the touchline. Walsh looms up on the inside. Gives it to Walsh. There he goes, Reese. The big swan dive into the in-goal area. There's another try. And they're scoring at will, the Broncos. Walters flings it out. Arthurs has got no one in front of him and they score. Well, I tell you what, they had to work for it. And Jesse Arthurs gets across and scores another try for the Broncos. They're one try away from raising the bat for the half century. They go to the right. Walsh goes now. Mariner. Oh, there it is.
Speed.
It kills, and it's killing the Roosters tonight. Cobbo gets another. But that is full time here at Allianz Stadium. 50 points to 14 against the Sydney Roosters.
Jimmy with the call on SEN. Jimmy Smith, that is. 1300 01 1170. Dynamite start for Coach Madge Maguire. It was a dynamite off-season, really pre-season, with them winning the pre-season challenge. 9 tries to 3 for Madge's men, and everyone is selling their shares in the Roosters. I'll explain that I'm not one of those very, very shortly. But what were your takeaway, Scope, last night?
You got the early crow ready for me, ready to go, tourists, and they burnt me last year.
Did they?
The Broncos. I went the early crow on them last year after a tight loss. Remember to the Penrith Panthers around Origin time last year? I thought I seen enough during that to think that they were going to go on and kick on from that performance. They obviously burnt me, but the Broncos are a lock to be playing on grand final day.
Wow, okay.
I was, there you go. Just let that play out. Let it play out. Obviously a disappointing season after getting so close to Penrith the year before.
Yep.
Their roster was outstanding last year. I thought it was probably the best roster in the NRL. Now, I'm not talking about results, just the roster in terms of talent. I think it's got better, obviously, with Ben Hunt. We still got Ezra Mam in that situation, and he won't, play a part for at least, the first 10 weeks. But Madge is huge.
Huge.
And it for me typifies how important coaching is in this modern day, more so than ever. Because when you see performances from guys like Corey Pakes, Shibasaki, and Giuseppe, in particular, those guys, in my opinion, are not as talented as Dean Mariner, Brendan Piakura, and even Billy Walters. I still need to see a little bit more from Corey Pakes. I could be wrong on that one. But what you do is, when you give guys, when you talk to the squad at the start of preseason, you say there's an opportunity. Everyone's got an opportunity here. And then you don't follow through with it. It looks like these guys have actually won their positions.
Yeah, it does.
And it creates competition within the team for those spots. And it's going to bring out the best in this team. I already thought they had, maybe outside of probably Melbourne, I think going to be really strong as well in terms of talent. The Broncos, I don't know who they're going to be playing. And I even like them to win the comp, even more so after just seeing them play last night. But they're going to be there on grand final day.
I tend to agree, and the only reason they wouldn't be there grand final day is because they either met Penrith or the Melbourne Storm in a prelim. I just think, Scope, and I said this before the ball was kicked yesterday, the 3 best coaches right now, obviously Wayne's been a gun, Robbo's a gun also, but right now the 3 best coaches are Madge Maguire, Craig Bellamy, Ivan Cleary. Few would disagree with that. The 3 best coaches have the 3 best rosters, and people were DMing me saying, yeah, but what about Ivan and Madge both had Tigers? Okay, here's the difference. Here is the difference. This narrative around Madge training them too hard is ridiculous. You know when it is not ridiculous or perceived to be not ridiculous is when Coach Maguire and Coach Cleary and Coach Bellamy, I've got no doubt right now, they're training each of their squads as hard as one another, which is probably harder than everyone else. But why it was too hard at the West Tigers is because it doesn't matter if you're Bart Cummings or whatever, Bill Belichick, if the hunger's not there for those who matter the most, obviously it's a horse in the event of a Melbourne Cup, but in rugby league it's that top 5 leaders. When you are smashing a team, what was happening at the West Tigers, and I was hearing this secondhand that we're training too hard. If the senior players in the group are saying we're training too hard, you cast. Whereas Bellamy has come through with Cameron Smith, Billy Slater, they're the ones, Ryan Hoffman, Dallas Johnson, they're the ones who are pushing the group with Craig Bellamy. Penrith have that with Martin, Cleary, Fisher-Harris in days gone by, they have that. They're all on the same page. Madge now has that with Carrigan and co and Payne Haas and the works. When you are a hard taskmaster and have the players, the key, most influential playing group on board, that's when you get what you get. There is not a planet I see where one of those three teams does not win this competition. Do you agree with that?
I'm with you. And you know what? I reckon this narrative around Madge training the players too hard is not necessarily about the Tigers. I think this stems back to the Rabbitohs time. Now, but if you look at the Rabbitohs situation, that was different. But when he arrived to coach the Rabbitohs at that time, he had a lot of established players that had been around, and you could argue that they were probably underachieving there for a little bit during that time. But they had guys at the back end of their career like Mick Crocker, Lottie Takiri, a few of these older guys who, during that period, he definitely got the best out of them. But they were north of 26, 27, 28. The team that he's got now, it's completely different. You've got Payne Haas, Paddy Carrigan, Reece Walsh, all these players in key positions. Obviously, Ben Hunt and Adam Reynolds are the outlier. They're the two older guys, the older statesmen. But they've got a small little 2-year window to win a competition before they retire. So they'll be all in. They'll be keen. They'll realise that they've got the talent around them. And the difference between 2014 and 2025 is chalk and cheese now. The way we used to treat or attention to detail towards training, the way we would even have a casual beer compared to what they do in this day and age, they just don't do it as much anymore, Sugar.
No.
So you're not looking at training the house down and running into the ground and then going, you know, the old drink hard, party hard culture
those days are gone.
where you train 5 days a week, 6 days a week. Then you would have a good booze on a Saturday or Sunday. Then you'd be a little bit underdone Monday or Tuesday. They're not drinking as much as we did back in the day. So I don't think he's going to have those same sort of issues that he had, which when people talk about burnout and all that sort of stuff at the back end of South Sydney, I don't think it's going to be there at the Broncos.
No.
And I can see them in a little sweet spot of a window for the next 3 or 4 years. Not to say they'll win the comp every year, but they're going to be competing for a comp.
Totally agree. This bloke's a super coach. And speaking really quickly, if you want to level this comp out, the best coaches keep winning, you need to put the head coach's salary in the salary cap. If you truly want to level it out, that's how you level this competition out. It'll never happen, but that's how you do it. And just on the older statesmen, the halves, people are saying, are they going to be too old come the end of the year? Reynolds and Hunt. I'll leave you with this. 1996, the oldest halves pairing ever is Cliff Lyons with Des Hasler. You know, won the comp in 1996. Manly. That's exactly right about that. Rough night for the Roosters. Well, let's hear from James Tedesco on... People say you don't lose, you learn. Let's hear from James Tedesco on losing the match last night and the lessons to which they get from that.
Not ideal for sure. I mean, I thought we had a really good start. We knew it was going to be a tough game against Brisbane. I mean, Madge has got them working hard and they've got a lot of talent in their team. And thought we had a really good start. Then we lose Rads and we got bench probably had about 5-10 game experience across our whole four players. So it was going to be tough, and I was really proud of our young guys. I know the scoreline doesn't show it, but I'm going to keep working hard and keep enjoying the process. I know results will come, but we'll take a lot of lessons from this.
There he is, James Tedesco, last night on SEN League with Brett Kamali. And I tell you what, as soon as I felt it was 50 early on, I actually texted the boys, this will be a 50 job. And then as soon as I said that, I thought, oh, no, as soon as I turn social media on, you're going to see the cues. No teams won the comp when they've conceded 50. That may be the case. Robert Toyer had a great debut.
He was really good, wasn't he, Shug?
Oh, terrific. Off that right foot, found the inside shoulder. Here's what Trent Robinson had to say in the press conference.
Yeah, I thought Rob and the other two debutants were outstanding. I think that showed Rob. I thought his ability to work, he really worked hard defensively, moved well, got in on tackles where most of them would run back. He set that up really well, and then when he touches the ball, some things happen. I'd like to double his touches. If we had more ball, if we could get more ball to him than what we did in a little bit of space, you can see that he's going to create some opportunities.
Okay, I agree with that. He looks like a star. There is no doubt about that. Nwangani Tawazi, I don't know his position. Is he a winger? Is he a centre? I don't quite know. But what I'm very confident about, and as I said, call me stark raving mad, the Roosters will be playing finals in 2025. People
I need you to sell me on this one, Sugar.
Okay, let me start with this. This time last year, the Bulldogs had been lapped by Parramatta and the Sharks. They had 51 points put on them between the two. scoring about 10 or 12, 14 points. They made the finals. They found their groove. They had their halves finally. They had Hutchison and Burton. They found their way. Let's just talk about last night. You got beat, but you got beat by a bloody good horse in the race. This is a.
Correct.
You're saying they're going to be in the grand final. This is a hot team who were wound up. Trent Robinson, typically, he doesn't have his sides wound up for February, March. He wants them ready for September, October. His record shows that they were in the top 4 last year. People quickly forget that. You've still got James Tedesco there. Last night, you lose Radley very early on the piece where you've only got 3 on the bench, which brings me to another point. Why the hell do we have to activate a player? We've got a young debutant there in a blue vest. Just let him be part of the bench. Keep the 8 interchange. That's another side point.
Yep.
You had the Butcher boys both absent. You still have the likes of Crichton. Obviously, you've got Walker coming back towards the end of the year. I don't think Brandon Smith will play another game there for them.
Just quickly on that, after watching that last night, here's my thing. With all those young kids coming off the bench, if you were the Sydney Roosters, would you be reconsidering the Cheese move and considering him for, if it's not too far gone, I feel like they're going to have some struggles as the season goes on through the middle.
Yes.
And potentially having Cheese as a lock.
Yep.
You know, purely having him as a lock or coming off the bench to give Radley a spell.
Yep.
And maybe Rads pushes up front because they had 3 debutants through the middle last night.
No, I get that. No, I get that.
That's what I'm worried about.
Yeah, no, I get that. But this is where it's smart. So Brandon Smith's probably expected to come back anyway towards the end of the year. If you can move him on next week, week after soon, there's a parcel of money that comes your way, and a big parcel of money, right? So then you've got an opportunity to go and get that player who's not Brandon Smith to play in the middle. And there'll be a player out there who they can grab. So you think about the Butcher boys weren't there.
Yep.
You've got
Spencer Leniu.
You've got Billy Smith, hopefully, to come back. You've got Spencer Leniu to come back. Radley's back. So my advice would be, well, this is what I'll be doing myself. After they play Penrith, there's no Spencer Leniu for that game either. There's no Radley for that game, maybe not the Butcher boys. Come round 3, you're now past Broncos and Penrith.
All right. Who they got in round 3?
And in round 3, you've got the Warriors.
Winnable.
Titans.
Winnable.
Bunnies.
Winnable.
Right. So I will be backing the Roosters to make the top 8 after they've played Penrith. When everyone's sold their stocks, they'll be saying Trent Robinson under the pump. He's too good a coach. He is too good a coach. They were flogged last night, granted. But that is a very, very good side. Winks just sailed past them. That's fine. They're not going to contend for the grand final this year. They will be playing finals football. Have your say. Am I completely mad? 0457 736 736. We all tend to overreact out of round 1. The Roosters, folks, chill, calm the farm. They are playing finals football in